WM.com.
The Tim Jones Show.
You picked the wrong schoolyard to come into.
The strong protecting the weak and the good defeating evil.
This was a white lie.
The people know the truth.
The Tim Jones Show.
He's a vulgar pig.
The fake media.
Oh, well, he's covering his hands here because they're teensy.
This is the Tim Jones Show on FM News Talk 97.1.
But I'm president and they're not.
Hey, good evening this evening. I'm doing show prep right up to the intro here. It's been a weekend for Ken and I. Hey, Ken, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Speaker. How are you?
I'm great, and it's great to be here with all you all. Welcome to the Tim Jones Show. Welcome to FM News Talk 97.1, broadcasting from the heartland to the world.
Yes.
Right? You can find us anywhere in the world. We stream live on the interwebs, 971talk.com. You can find the show page, 971talk.com/Tim Jones.
Wow, how
that's
easy.
That's how creative we are. At Speaker Tim Jones on Facebook or Twitter. At Speaker Tim Jones on Facebook or Twitter. Good evening this evening. It is October 1st.
Wow.
We always have the momentous days, don't we?
Yeah.
October 1. And I'll tell you, Ken, as I was driving in here tonight, the sun was setting.
And it's been heavenly.
It has been, and I didn't notice the darkness coming in until like all of a sudden it like creeps up on you and it's suddenly boom.
Yeah.
It's fall.
Yeah.
So welcome to October, everybody. Hope you had a very happy, lovely weekend. Hope you were safe and sound. We've got so much to get to. I've got so much to tell you. I'm going to cram 4 hours of content as well as I can into 2.
All right.
Let's get to it right away. Almost Ken's ready for Tim's top 3.
Now, the Tim Jones Show presents
Tim's top 3. There you go.
There we go. We'll get it. Like I said, we got so much to get to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Puerto Rico reality. I'm going to tell you later why the left-wing media is telling you half the story, the wrong story, the incorrect story, the backward story about what's going for Puerto Rico, because I, of course, have an on-the-ground source there. My good friend, Jose Benitez.
All right.
My college roommate, one of my best friends in the world, is an attorney on the island of Puerto Rico. I've been texting with him constantly over the last, month now since Irma hit. So we had Irma, then we had Jose, the hurricane, and then we had Maria. And I've been checking in with Jose, and now let me tell you, nothing that you're hearing about any problems in Puerto Rico has a lick to do with Donald Trump or the federal government response. And it's BS if you believe it. Ken and I used the full word before we got on the air because it's how bad it is. Because it's baloney. It's absolutely insane. And I'm going to tell you what the real problem is in Puerto Rico. This goes way, way back. And I bet my next guest, who I'm going to get to in just a second, could probably tell me a little bit about Puerto Rico's problems because they're very economic in nature. Tax cuts now. Tax cuts now. My next guest, Jonathan Williams, and I were on the steps. We were in the deepest part of. We were neck deep in the swamp about 2-3 weeks ago on the front steps of the IRS building, doing the Job Creators Network, First Rule Media Network, TaxCutsNow.com tour. Folks, over 50,000 people have signed this petition across the country. And look what happens. 2 weeks later, we're driving the engine on the train. The caboose is coming up because here's the plans. They've been presented this week from your Congress. Let's see if they can get it done.
Yeah.
They need to get something done, right, Ken?
They have to. That's the most critical thing that we're facing right now.
And that's the economy. I mean, internationally, the only thing that matters is that we're safe as a country. And thank you to our brave men and women. Ken and I stand, by the way, during the national anthem. We played it, I think, a week ago, right? With
Yes, we did.
The NHL guy. Maybe we'll play him again tonight because Ken and I stand. We stand for the whole show, actually. That's how much we honor all of you. But in all seriousness, tax cuts, the next most important thing after keeping the country safe is the economy and having a roaring economy that we haven't seen in a long time. We're going to talk to Jonathan Williams, who is the chief economist for the American Legislative Exchange Council. Third, CNN just continues to promote the race war for their own ratings. And I've got proof of it. It's in my media malpractice segment later this hour. We've got a packed show. Like I said, I'm going to bring up Jonathan Williams in just a second here. We've also got Jeff Rorta, business manager for the St. Louis Police Officers Association. Jeff's been on our airwaves. He's been on TV with Jamie. I heard him with Tobler last weekend. I'm sure he's been on with I think he's been on with Mark Cox. Because, what's funny is, long story short, Jeff and I used to battle it out on the House floor. He was a Democratic state rep from Jefferson County. I was the raging Republican from Eureka, and we battled it out. But you know what? Politics makes strange bedfellows, and you know what makes stranger bedfellows? People trying to keep the city of St. Louis safe.
Yeah.
And I'm with Rorta on this one. I'm sorry. He is with the men and women in blue that Ken and I support and talk about all the time. We have relatives in law enforcement. We have friends in law enforcement. I have some of my best friends in law enforcement. And if we don't have people to protect us and keep us safe, then you know what we have? We have anarchy, and that doesn't work for anyone. Finally, last but not least, we'll have Missouri State Representative, my good friend Dean Plocher, join us in studio. Special treat to wrap up the show in the 8 o'clock hour. Dean and I are going to talk about the veto session being wrapped up. What's next for him this fall? What does he foresee with the legislative forecast for 2018? Bill filing starts December 1st. Can you believe it? It'll be here before we know it because it's October 1. Without further ado, let's go to Jonathan Williams, Chief Economist for the American Legislative Exchange Council. Jonathan, good evening, my friend. How are you tonight?
Doing great. Good to be with you. And thanks for having me. And as I always like to say, greetings from the land of make-believe, or greetings from the swamp, as you put it.
Jonathan, can you believe it? I mean, how cool is that you and I were on the tip of the spear just a couple weeks ago working with our good friends, the Job Creators Network, First Rule Media Network, where I do my day job. Breitbart was helping us out with this tour. It was a real hands-on effort with a lot of different groups. We have over 50,000 people, Jonathan, that have signed the petition for taxcutsnow.com, and over 250,000 views of some of the content we put out, including your clip, which I just pulled up, is right on the front page of ALEC.org as well.
And that wasn't that a shot of patriotic adrenaline, sitting out there on the steps of the swamp of the IRS building and just being able to talk about what we need is number one domestic priority is get this economy moving again. Of course, as you know, my friend, the best way to do that is to see real tax relief, real tax reform for the first time in a generation. And we are on the precipice of doing that. And if we can get everybody on the same page here in the next 60 to 90 days, it could be a reality, and it could be done for taxpayers in this tax year.
Jonathan, you spend every waking minute, and you probably dream about this stuff as well, working on tax and fiscal policy for the 50 states, for the federal government. You're heavily invested in this. You're heavily educated in this, running the tax and fiscal policy task force for ALEC. And there's folks, you need to go to ALEC's website, ALEC.org. This is not just for legislators. It's not just for policy wonks. It's for everyday Americans who want to learn more about the hows and whys of how their government works, and more importantly, how it can work better through some of ALEC's initiatives. So, Jonathan, tell me, why is this proposal that so many of us in the grassroots world have been talking about for so long, and that the congressional Republicans have now put forth, why is this so critical for our economy?
Well, point number one there, it is so critical for the economy to see tax relief and tax reform because so many people forget this is the weakest economic recovery that we have had since any time since World War II. It is incredible that we haven't seen 3 or 4% economic growth. And what is that doing? It's meaning that people aren't able to get jobs that they want. It means that their incomes aren't rising. And it's a huge area of lost opportunity for each and every man, woman, and child across our country right now. And it is imperative that we fix one of the biggest hurdles to that, which is the tax rates that we face on businesses, on individuals. A lot of people don't know this, but the U.S. now has basically the highest business taxes in the world, when the rest of the world has cut their taxes to become more competitive and recruit our businesses away from the United States to foreign countries. We have fallen behind by standing still, and it's time to change that. And under this framework that was released this week by congressional leaders and President Trump, that corporate rate would go down to 20% from 39.6 roughly is the average between state and federal today. That needs to happen.
Now, Jonathan, and you're right. Isn't it amazing that people have gotten used to this new normal, right? Because of the Obamonomics years, but even going back further, we've been stuck in this malaise, right? And only because Americans are so pioneering and have that entrepreneurial spirit do we continue to succeed as a nation. But your point earlier, it should not be understated, right? That this has been anemic, historic growth in the wrong way, historic in the bad way. That we've only had this weak, barely 2% growth for almost the last decade.
And I reject the idea of people like Paul Krugman and others that say that we need to live with this new normal of no economic growth to speak of.
Right.
We're better than that. This economy and the people of this economy, we can lead the world if we just get some of these economic barriers out of our way. And we are basically committing economic malpractice by having the highest business rates in the world on our income. There's no reason on earth that Burger King is now a Canadian company other than the fact that our taxes are the highest. I mean, we have companies each and every month we see another one going to Europe. France and Sweden, for goodness sake, have lower corporate rates than we do, and it's about time that changes.
Oh, and Jonathan, you and I know have memorized all the way the money moves around our country, right? The famous book our good friend Travis Brown wrote, How Many Walks? But how many walks can be applied to the international stage, right, Jonathan? You just described it, right? If our country tries to put up barriers and tariffs and taxation and overregulation on business, what you just said, the once American company of Burger King is going to go elsewhere. Apple, which is an American company, is going to park trillions of dollars of assets and investment overseas. Those things are going to happen, and they have happened.
Right. And this isn't just an academic exercise either. As we know, this has happened in real world. We've seen it happen right in front of our eyes with horrible consequences on everyone for lower wages and lower job opportunities here in the United States. And, of course, if we've traced across the 50 states and How Many Walks, and in my book, Rich States, Poor States,
right.
with Art Laffer and Steve Moore, the states that are getting it right and taking it seriously and doing things like you did when you were Speaker and cut taxes and follow the example of Texas and Florida, and the states that are getting it right, it's just so clear. It's economics 101. It's not, as Art Laffer says, it's not rocket surgery. It's pretty simple Econ 101.
That's right. We're speaking to Jonathan Williams, the chief economist for the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC.org, and he runs that tax and fiscal policy committee for that great organization as well. Jonathan, we talked about the biggest pillar that's probably the media has been focused on, which is that corporate tax cut. Hopefully Americans now, because of right-thinking networks like Fox Business and Fox News and all the good conservative talk radio shows around the country and all the center-right groups, hopefully people now realize that, oh my gosh, we have the highest corporate tax rate in the industrialized world. So I think that point is probably sunk into people, and they're definitely chewing on that. What else? What are the other pillars or planks of the plan that people need to be aware of as we now dive into this discussion on tax policy?
Well, there's so many good points to the plan, and it hits so many different areas across the economy. One piece, though, is some people are going to say, well, cutting business taxes is just good for business. But I always like to make the point that businesses don't pay taxes, people do. And so when we cut business taxes, it means lower prices on goods, higher wages, higher returns in your 401k. So that's one important point to make on business taxes. But there's so many things to like for individuals directly through this tax reform framework that was outlined. Everything from a doubling of the standard deduction on individual returns, which means that your first $24,000 of income will be tax-free for everyone across the board. You look at child care tax credits being increased. That will help everyday families. You look at, for instance, the hated alternative minimum tax that takes away deductions when you get into more middle income levels. And then the really inherently unfair death tax, which has been a topic of lots of conversation, both at the federal level and state levels, where states have been getting rid of the death tax across the board. That goes away under this framework. And then, of course, the lower rates on marginal income for every taxpayer across the board. So many things to like directly that benefit individuals and families as well.
Jonathan, we have a lot of working men and women who listen to this station and this show in particular, and we also have a lot of job creators themselves here in the heartland, the St. Louis area, wherever they may be listening to. And, they've probably heard the sound bites on, our favorite left-leaning liberal news networks, and they've probably heard the soundbite they've been playing over and over again this weekend where, Chuck Schumer, he's so clever, isn't he? He comes up with all these little catchphrases, and the left loves doing this, right? They love taking a very complicated topic that you just broke down in very simple terms, and they like to just tag it with one word or two and hope that sticks. So he's called this wealth fair. He's so clever. Wealth fair. Why is Chuck Schumer absolutely wrong?
Oh, well, Chuck Schumer is pretty good with the turn of a phrase, as you mentioned. He doesn't like tax cuts. We know that. One of the things that his biggest perk in the tax code that he wants to keep is the deduction for state and local taxes paid, which basically, on its simplest terms, is a subsidy from the taxpayers of Missouri, the taxpayers of Illinois, the taxpayers of Kansas, across low-tax states across the country, to states like New York, California, New Jersey, who get a majority of that benefit through the current tax
yeah, they like to hide that. They like to hide that, don't they, Jonathan?
They certainly do. And I find this ironic, and here's what I like to call out people like Chuck Schumer on. They have never made a tax increase they don't like, of course, in Congress, except all of a sudden now, when we have a chance to remake the federal tax code and lower rates for everyone across the board, they're trying to really put a stop to it because they realize their subsidy for New York's overspending and overtaxing is about ready to go away.
Absolutely. John, they got about a minute or so left. Why is I've been reading a lot about the plank in the plan and the president's plan and Congress's plan. We've been talking about the repatriation, bringing money back home from American companies that they've parked overseas because of everything you and I talked about. That's been bad for them to have those investments here. What would that do to our economy if we could bring that money back home and not punish corporations for doing so?
I mean, it's unbelievable what that would do for economic growth in terms of what companies would do here, either pay it out in terms of dividends to people who are shareholders and 401k holders. It means that they would innovate and create new products and goods and services within their companies, which will, of course, benefit all of us. Or it means they could be paying their employees more, and we could see real wages go up, real average incomes go up, which is something that we have not seen, as you pointed out, even before Barack Obama took office for that horrible 8 years of lost growth opportunity. So $2 to $3 trillion parked overseas, almost simply for tax reasons. And it's A, very important that we bring it back now, but B, setting up that system, getting our corporate business tax under control so those dollars will not go overseas in the future.
Tax cuts now means prosperity for all Americans. Jonathan Williams has laid that out very well for us. Jonathan, thank you so much for spending time with us on a Sunday evening. I know I'm going to see you soon, my friend.
Take care and keep up the good work.
Hey, thank you. You be safe. We'll see you soon. That was Jonathan Williams, the chief economist for the American Legislative Exchange Council. He's at ALEC.org. He's at Tax Economist on Twitter. Tim Jones here on the Tim Jones Show, FM News Talk 97.1. We've got Jeff Rorda, business manager for the St. Louis Police Officers Association, up next. Going to talk a little Stockley verdict and aftermath. Keep it right here, FM News Talk 97.1.
The Tim Jones Show.
Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it? Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering.
On FM News Talk 97.1.
Dependable weather.
Clouds take control today. Chance of a couple of spotty
with Fox 2 meteorologist Dave Murray.
Brought to you by Air Comfort Service. 0% financing and factory rebates, plus utility rebates on a new HVAC system. Details at aircomfortservice.com.
You lead a busy lifestyle, and it's important to remain cool and confident when making that big presentation, negotiating a deal, or just hanging out with friends. You can with Miradry from Ridenour Plastic Surgery. Miradry is an FDA-approved device that permanently eliminates underarm sweat safely with no downtime. Stay confident and active without fear of underarm sweat. Call Ridenour at 314-878-8600 to get started. Ridenour knows confidence is sexy, confidence is beautiful. 878-8600.
Hey, Tim Jones here for Universal Windows Direct. You've heard me talking about all the perks of buying your windows from the guys at Universal Windows Direct. Let me tell you, there's other ways they can make your home more beautiful. They've got an extensive variety of products, windows, siding, doors, gutters, roofing, attic insulation. You can finally have a home that looks the way you've been dreaming about. It's not going to break the bank. They've got this amazing offer. Check it out this week. Buy one window, get the next window free. There's no limit. That's right. For every window you buy, you're getting the next one free. That's a pretty darn good deal. 0% financing as well for 36 months. Don't put it off, folks. It's October 1st. Winter is coming, as they would say on Game of Thrones. Some restrictions do apply, but you get free installation as well. Call to schedule your free in-home estimate today. 314-547-2600. Go to universalwindowsstlouis.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
At Spectrum Business, we provide your business with the very best internet and voice solutions for less. What does that mean for you? It means your business gets faster internet, more advanced voice, and over 99.9% network reliability. It also means no added taxes or fees, and no contracts, ever. Because at Spectrum Business, we believe in earning your business every day. Just call 866-200-6171 to get faster internet speeds, up to 100 megabits per second for only $44.99 a month. And that's not all. You can also add advanced business voice with unlimited long distance and over 30 calling features for just $29.99 a month. It's all part of our commitment to redefining what a cable company can be. Call 866-200-6171 today and switch to Spectrum Business to get the best value for your business with faster internet and advanced voice. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Looking for a meaningful volunteer opportunity? Ronald McDonald House Charities of St. Louis provides local and out-of-town families with the comforts of home through its Ronald McDonald Family Rooms. These family rooms inside St. Louis area hospitals provide loved ones with daily essentials in a comforting environment, just steps away from their child's hospital room. Learn more about volunteering with Ronald McDonald House Charities at www.rmhcstl.com. That's rmhcstl.com.
Why have over 3 million guys switched to Harry's razors? Because at Harry's, we give you less. We make just one razor with 5 German-engineered blades. Ding! All you need for a smooth and comfortable shave. And we got rid of upcharges. By owning the factory and cutting out the middleman, we're able to sell our high-quality blades for half the price of the other guys. Ka-ching! Now we're dropping the half-price sound effects guy.
Wait, why?
Not everyone can give you high quality for a fraction of the price. Harry's. One perfect razor. None of the extra noise. As a special offer for radio listeners, get an $18 shave set with an added bonus for free when you visit harrys.com and use code 3434 at checkout. Just cover a few bucks for shipping. That's harrys.com, code 3434 for a free shave set offer. Again, it's harrys.com, code 3434. Please note, no sound effects guys were harmed in the making of this radio recording.
Alexa, play FM News Talk 97.1.
I'm glad you asked. Here's the station. What do you think you are doing? Where did this floozy come from?
Oh, hey, Siri. I was just trying to get some news.
Don't you like how I give it to you anymore?
Well, of course I do. Alexa, tell Siri that there's nothing really going on.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that. What a worthless little
Ladies that just want to get 97.1.
You're going to get it all right. I'm not sure about that.
Get FM News Talk 97.1 wherever you want it. This is the Tim Jones Show. Call now, 314-969-9797 or 866-455-9797.
Moment like this, the last thing this country needs is more demagoguery, especially racial demagoguery, which always leaves the deepest and longest lasting wounds. On the other hand, whipping people into a frenzy of fear and rage is a guaranteed ratings bonanza, and CNN can never resist that. Watch how that network takes the controversy over the national anthem at football games and turns it into a terrifying story about race hatred.
Yeah, that was Tucker Carlson. I'll play what he was referring to in just a little bit, but I thought it'd be a good tee-up for Jeff Rhoda, who we're going to speak to next year. Tucker's right, though. I've I was in the legislature with former Representative Jeff Roorda, former Representative Tim Jones. We were in the same time, and I'm going to talk to him about this. But, Ken, I don't remember things being this strained 10, 15 years ago.
No.
As they are now. And the media, like Tucker was referring to, seems to be doing everything they can to fan the flames instead of bring people together.
And, the underlying tension, I guess you could say, is with all the fans, even though we're watching and we're trying to enjoy football, it's still under there. And it's not as enjoyable as it was.
That's right.
I didn't watch it today.
It's hard to sit down and relax on a Sunday afternoon now.
I'm done with it.
Yeah.
It's too much of my nerves. It is.
Well, Jeff Roorda's got he generally makes people relax. So we'll talk to him now. He's a very calming presence. So hey Jeff, how you doing this evening?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
That's right. Jeff, thanks for joining us here on the Tim Jones Show. Who would have thought a few years ago that you and I would be doing this, like what you're doing and what I'm doing, and we're doing it all on FM News Talk 97.1. Can you believe it?
It's a great home for both of us.
That's right. That's right. So, folks, you probably are familiar with Mr. Jeff Roorda. You've heard his voice on this station and on many others around town. He is. Jeff, are you the business manager? Do I have that title right?
Yes. Yep.
Business manager for the St. Louis Police Officers Association right here in the city of St. Louis. And, Jeff, right before I brought you on the air, I pulled up. I do follow the official Twitter handle at SLMPD. And thankfully, hopefully I won't jinx anything, it looks like things are quiet, at least for this evening.
Well, knock on wood, but no thanks to the alt-left media, as you pointed out, Tim.
Yeah, Jeff, you and I served almost the same at almost the same time. We were almost there during the entire years, and yeah, we had issues and we had other controversies and we had other crises, but I always felt that whether you were a Democrat or a Republican, you generally supported a few things. You supported, because you and I were there right after 9/11 was still very fresh. We were there in like 05 through 15 or so, and so that 10 years you and I kind of overlapped there. And 9/11 was still very fresh, right, for people, and there was we did a lot of things for the police and the firemen and the EMS. And I remember every year we were working on something for them, not related to protecting them or anything, because that wasn't an issue at the time, but things like, making sure, line of duty death stuff, benefits, and things like that.
Right.
All good stuff, right? And so where did we get off on this bad road we seem to be driving down, this nightmare for many?
Well, as you point out, this is a ratings bonanza for the media. Really for all. Left and right.
You're right. Yeah.
Talking about it gets people's attention, and we were pretty closely aligned on some of the social issues. Both pro-life, both pro-gun. Even though I'm a Democrat, I was to the right on those issues, and we were both very closely aligned when it came to being pro-law enforcement. And I never thought I'd live to see the day that this would become a wedge issue. And I'll tell you, my party's just got it wrong. They've gone berserk when it comes to buying into this narrative, this false narrative about what's happened in Ferguson and Baltimore and now St. Louis. It's all made up stuff. And if you caught the Post-Dispatch article a couple of days ago where they reveal all the inconsistencies in the grand jury testimony that resulted in Jason Stockley getting indicted, and then their editorial page ignores their own reporting,
and
goes on rants about this social injustice and racial injustice when they just got done reporting how the whole thing was conflated and really a mockery of justice.
Jeff, you're right. It's like we live in an alternate. It's like they live in an alternate universe. And you and I have very few to none friends over at the Post-Disgrace, right? We got a lot of mutual enemies over there, because these people seem to. You're right. They'll write. They have some decent journalists over there. They really do.
Right.
And I'll
Christine Byers put together a great story, really laid it out,
factual,
and
right?
A couple of really good stories about this, but there, it used to be that the Post-Dispatch, that the front page drove the editorial page. Now it's just the opposite. The editorial page now drives the front.
You're right. The tail's wagging the dog. Yeah, the tail's wagging the dog.
Pulitzer rolling over in his grave.
Well, you're right, and Jeff, and we could spend a whole nother segment on the problems with the Republican Party. I'm just as critical of them on some things, but it's really big of you to say that your party's got it wrong on this, and I think a lot of Republicans are kind of surprised too that traditionally, right, stereotypically, a lot of the police and firemen, because of some of the union issues and stuff, generally would vote Democratic. But I think a lot of these police and firemen are waking up and going, there's no way I can vote for this party anymore. They've literally gone insane on these issues. We're literally not safe here.
I think Hillary Clinton lost the election when she invited the mothers of two men who tried to kill police officers up on stage with her at the Democratic National Convention. I think that was a turning point, and I'll never be convinced to the contrary. Trump won in the suburbs of Michigan and Pennsylvania and Ohio and Wisconsin because the blue collar pro law enforcement vote was so turned off by Hillary and Barack Obama before that they made it impossible for those folks to pull a lever with a D behind it.
Speaking of Jeff Rorta, business manager for the St. Louis Police Officers Association. Jeff, I was out of town for a couple days, the end of last week, so I did lose track of this a little bit. Where are we now in things? Is there kind of a unsettled calm kind of kicking in here, or is there anything planned that you're aware of? Tell folks what they're going to expect maybe in the week or so ahead, if you've got anything on your radar.
More lies. I mean, the whole thing is driven by mischaracterizations and downright lies. And when people like Lyda Krewson and other politicians, without even having had time to have read Judge Wilson's very detailed, well-reasoned explanation of why he found Jason Stockley not guilty. I mean, she just rushed to judgment, said the justice system doesn't work, and Tim Wilson got it wrong without looking at the evidence that was just really clear and incontrovertible. And that's where we go wrong. I mean, we've got 7,500 of the same people out there protesting now, which shows you how little energy this movement really has. But until we're honest about what really happened, we can't fix our problems because we're fixing the wrong problem.
That's right. And Jeff, we were talking earlier, bill filing starts for the legislature in about 2 months. And there's going to be a lot of stuff that's filed, for the cameras and the media and our beloved editorial page and all that. But the majority is probably not going to let any of that go anywhere. What would you like to see come out of either the governor's mouth with the State of the State next January, or what would you like to see the governing class in Jeff City, if anything, work on this issue that would make things better?
The reason that Michael Brown, Anthony Lamar Smith, a lot of these young black men who died tragically young because of a mistake they made when confronted by the police officer, the reason they made that mistake, the reason they were so hopeless and desperate is because they have no future. They come from terrible neighborhoods, rife with poverty, failing school districts, failing government services, drug addiction, broken homes. I mean, if we worked on those issues, then maybe we wouldn't have these high-stakes, deadly confrontations between young black men and police officers that are always going to end bad. I mean, there's no good outcome when we get into that situation.
Couldn't agree with you more. Folks never thought I'd say that about you. Hey, Jeff, there's never enough time, but you had mentioned to me you wanted to make an announcement before you get off the air with us tonight. So, my friend, the mic is yours.
Well, I wanted to let everyone know, and they're hearing it first on the Tim Jones Show. I'm running for county executive in Jefferson County, running as a Democrat. Not that I'm not frustrated with my party, but I do want to fix it. I'm not a quitter. I'm going to try to stick with this party and talk some sense into them. And I think you can do a great job as county exec. I think I'm very well qualified, and I look forward to the opportunity to continue to serve the people of Jefferson County.
Well, that is big news, and Representative John McCarty, who's a friend of yours and mine both, I believe is running on the Republican side. And, you are two guys I think that could have a civil conversation about this. Maybe we'll have to get you both on here to have that discussion sometime in the future.
John was the first call I made. I wanted John to hear it from me and not to hear it from someone else. So you're right. We're very good friends. Jefferson County will be well served by either of us, and I guarantee you there won't be any mudslinging and throat cutting in this election.
Well, maybe we'll have a discussion about that in the future. I would love to have you both in studio, so we'll work on that. Well, Jeff, congratulations for the next phase of your life. It's a pleasure speaking with you. It's been a pleasure working with you post elected office for both of us. And we are two living examples. There is life after politics, folks. Life does go on. Hey, be well, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Timmy.
All right. Hey, that was former Representative Jeff Rorda, business manager, St. Louis Police Officers Association, with a big announcement here tonight. He's going to run for county executive against my very good friend John McCarty. So we'll have to have them in to I figure. I kind of knew that's what he was going to say. I didn't want to spoil my surprise. So a little surprised, but I kind of figured, look, Representative McCarty was going to have an opponent, so might as well be Jeff Rorda, right?
Right.
And they'll have a good spirited debate, folks. This is the Tim Jones Show. We are always on the cutting edge of breaking news here on Sunday evening, heading into your next work week starting shortly tomorrow. But until then, sit back, relax, hang out on the deck tonight. Stoke the fire up. It is a beautiful fall evening here in the Heartland. We've got Media Malpractice up next. It's FM News Talk 97.1.
This is the Tim Jones Show on FM News Talk 97.1, 98.7, and AM 1490. Or streaming live at 971talk.com and the 97.1 mobile app.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here. Download the free Next Radio app on your phone and listen to live local FM radio. It's now available on all smartphones. Go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the app today. Next Radio, an affiliate of Ennis Communications.
Contractors, meeting with your customers can be difficult. Making time to actually sit down and go over product and color selections is tough when your suppliers close by 5 p.m. every day. Only Arrowhead Building Supply has your solution. We've built mind-blowing, beautiful showrooms that are professional and convenient. We now have new store hours until 8 p.m. weekdays and noon on Saturdays. Arrowhead has also built private contractor presentation rooms for you. These feature large LED televisions and product video libraries so you can show your customers how products will look and what to expect. ArrowheadBuildingSupply.com.
There's an Orange Opportunity sales event going on now at your local Kubota dealer. Get an M6 tractor with your choice of 4 models, all with Kubota clean diesel engines, IntelliShift transmissions, and more. Now get financing as low as 0% APR for up to 84 months. See your local Kubota dealer today. Now through October 31st, 2017. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more information.
Visit MissouriKubotaDealers.com or IllinoisKubotaDealers.com.
Radio moves. Radio breathes. Radio never sleeps. And Next Radio keeps up. It goes where you go, so you never miss a beat. It's live, it's local, it's a connection. A shared experience, just you and your radio. And a couple million people, give or take. Next Radio keeps up. You thought that phone couldn't get any smarter? Well, it got simpler. It got leaner. It's got your back. And it'll keep you moving, winning, in the know. And it'll get you where you want to go. All in the palm of your hand. Next Radio, live and local, wherever you go.
Listen to your favorite FM stations with the free Next Radio app. Live and local, wherever you go. Download the free Next Radio app today.
Hi, it's Tony LaRussa here with Mark Cox talking about our friends at Victory Men's Health.
Thanks, Tony. Victory Men's Health has something no other men's clinic can boast. They have a staff urologist, Dr. Lawrence Hatchett, who oversees your treatment. They also offer that new Priapus shot, or the P shot. It treats erectile dysfunction. It's quick, virtually painless, a non-surgical approach to improving your sex life. Remember, Victory Men's Health is only 15 minutes from the ballpark in O'Fallon, Illinois. Highway 64 at the Shiloh exit. Check them out at victorymenshealth.com.
Hey, Russell Wilson here, and I know how important exercise is.
It's essential. It's essential.
With Play 60, United Way and the NFL are helping kids stay active and play at least 60 minutes a day.
Healthy kids, healthy kids.
But what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org/play60 because great things happen when we live united.
Donate, donate.
Are you guys going to do that every time?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
This is House Call for Health. Do you live near a busy road or highway? Turns out your neighbors who tuck themselves away in the backwoods may be prone to a longer drive to work, but they're also packing more health benefits in their real estate punch than you are. According to Canadian researchers, people who live near heavy traffic hotspots face a higher risk of developing dementia than those who live further away. The Lancet published study found that people who lived within 50 meters of high traffic roads had a 7% higher chance of developing dementia compared to those who lived more than 300 meters away from busy roads. They say the air pollutants can get into the bloodstream and lead to inflammation, which is linked to cardiovascular disease and possibly other conditions like diabetes. The study also concluded that air pollutants can get into the brain via the bloodstream and cause neurological problems down the road. For more on this story, check FoxNewsHealth.com. House Call for Health, I'm Alex Hine, Fox News.
Jamie Allman in the morning.
Hey, Monday, all the nuttiness from around the weekend. We've got the Gateway Pundit joining us, Rod the Bod, Rob Raines on the NFL and beyond.
On FM News Talk
97.1.
This is the Tim Jones Show. Call now, 314-969-9797 or 866-455-9797.
So I heard you found somebody else.
Say if there's a silver lining to the Trump election is that I think a lot of news media, at least certainly the New York Times, where I now work, woke up to the fact that we need to have a richer conversation with a much more diverse set of voices. I was just listening, to your panel just now with Hugh Hewitt, and that models exactly the kinds of disagreements and conversations that we need to have. So if the Trump election is a kind of come to Jesus moment for a lot of the media saying to themselves, what have we done? As it may be, by the way, also for Facebook, then at least something good will have come out of last November.
So oh, good Lord, the media. So that was, I don't know, some guy from some New York Times writer. His name's not important, but
Brett Stevens.
Yeah, Brett Stevens. Navel gazing about what they learned from the Trump election 10 months later. Oh. Ken, they're like, oh, maybe we should have diverse opinions in our paper and our TV and our media sources. Wow, like they discovered the lost tomb of King Tut or something.
Yeah, amazing.
They're like, really? Wow, maybe we should. Well,
really?
Yeah, no kidding. Because you live in a bubble in Manhattan. Let me tell you, I lived in New York for 10 years. Those people, many of them literally think that it's like Oz once you cross the Hudson River. Once you go west.
I've never been there.
Ken, they're scared of us out here. They think we're like the, what were the things in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory? Oompa Loompas.
Oompa Loompas.
They think we're like a bunch of Oompa Loompas here.
Worker bees.
Right. Like
For
this
them.
is some strange, you know what it is? It's totally, I don't know what, it's funny. Things are so ironic. I think Hollywood thinks it's trying to be so clever sometimes, and they end up making fun of themselves. The Hunger Games is totally about themselves.
Oh, yeah.
The Hunger Games is the bourgeois intelligentsia living in their ivory towers in New York and L.A., and they think that the rest of the country is the wasteland to supply all of their needs.
Dig coal for their energy.
Exactly. But they hate coal now, so they don't know what to do.
That's true.
And that's why they lost the election. So Brett Stevens is like, yeah, in that last clip, I think we've just now discovered that he found one thing good that he liked about the Trump election. He finally found one thing, this New York Times author.
Awesome.
Writer. And it's that the media needs to welcome a diversity of thought and opinion. Rocket science. I mean, give that man a Pulitzer.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing that they're even talking about it that way.
It is. And you know what? And so that's my cynical side. My positive, optimistic side, which I more tend to go to, says exactly what Ken just said, which is it is remarkable that they've actually come that far. And they actually admit this and acknowledge it and realize it's true. And at some point, maybe they'll even accept the results of the election and they'll move past Russiagate.
I hope. I wish, but
because it's October 1 now. Okay, it's October 1. We are nearly 1 year since Donald Trump was elected president. Nearly 1 year. They are still chasing rabbits down the wormhole.
And I don't remember the football player today, but there was someone who walked out of the tunnel with a shirt on and said, "Everybody against Trump."
Yeah, great.
I don't know where they're getting
I
this.
just don't know where it comes from. And so I've got some media malpractice here to show you. This is all about ratings, folks. I hate to be so cynical. Back to my cynical hat. This is all about, as Trump calls them, and he's right, failed CNN and the failed New York Times and a network and a newspaper that got it absolutely 100% wrong, and they're trying to get people to watch their stupid network with their idiotic anchors making up all this baloney every day. And so, you know what they've realized? The only thing they succeed on is mainly the race card. So they beat the race card into the ground, and they don't understand they're destroying the fabric of this country. Let's get some media malpractice.
Now, the Tim Jones Show presents...
Someone believes some fake news story.
Especially by the media.
This is very dangerous to America.
They're corporatist, globalist media.
Media malpractice.
I have to ask you, when you step back and you think about all the president has said about the NFL players, and I know that you have used this term before, I'd have to ask you, do you think that this is a white lash against the players and their supporters, that's what has resulted here?
Well, I think what you have to look, if you take a big step back, there's something happening throughout the West where this politics of resentment, this politics of kind of finding these either dog whistle or louder than dog whistle issues is becoming a part of a playbook for a certain set of politicians. You saw that happening in Germany. You had some very far-right people who made it into parliament in Germany playing us against each other. And I think the President of the United States is all too often guilty of those same kinds of tactics.
Oh, so much to unpack here. Don Lemon, that's Don Lemon talking to Van Jones, two of the biggest race huckster frauds of this generation.
Calling the Trump administration basically Nazis.
Yeah. And plantation owners, because they did that in another clip. Plantation owners. Oh, they called Van Jones called the NFL owners the plantation owners, and basically saying get you players back on the plantation. Van Jones basically, like he said that. He actually said that. I wasn't making fun of him. He said either him or Don Lemon. I didn't pull that clip because I was like, oh, you know what it was? I'm sorry. It was. I do have it. It's in this next one. Spike Jonze basically says it. So Tucker Carlson blows this whole idiotic theory out of the water and talks about the fact that what these guys are doing, and I'm sorry if I'm getting passionate here, but Don Lemon and Van Jones and Spike Lee and the rest of the gang, and Mika Brzezinski or MSNBC and all the meatheads on these networks, they're the ones destroying America. And you know what? They're following up with where President Barack Obama left off. Because if you want to talk about division in this country, he started it. Trump is trying to right the ship. And the left is so infuriated at him that he's fixing all these things that they destroyed because we were going down the path of a extreme far left wing socialist country where you're all identified by what you are. You got to be put in a bucket of race or class or creed. Instead of just being an American, it's all this race identity politics. So listen to Tucker just blow this out of the water.
If anyone actually believes this is about the flag,
that's not Tucker.
Then you must.
That's not it. Which one?
Number 8. Yeah. Is that number 8? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, he's got this right. Yeah. Let me explain what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
So Tucker is going to play this montage of all the race baiting. Okay. So that's what you're going to hear first, folks. So you're going to hear all this montage of the race baiting, and then Tucker comes in to blow him out of the water.
Okay.
If anyone actually believes this is about the flag, then you must believe Rosa Parks' protest was about a bus. Think about that.
When he says he was really telling the owners, like the owners or the plantation owners and the guys playing the league, they're on the plantation, you can't say anything. And so the thing has really escalated.
It does sound a little bit, and obviously you can come at me on Twitter about this, like he's saying control your dog. Control your dog to the owners. And now he says they're fearful of the players. So he is setting up the ugliest kind of tension that you can. And I know when you say control your dog, it's got a lot of racial overtones to it. So does this situation. Yeah. I don't know how you can look at it and not see how it's racial.
Dogs? Who said anything about dogs? Nobody did, but it doesn't matter. The image is horrifying, and that's the point. You can't turn away from that. Now, do you hate and fear your neighbor a little more by the end of that segment? Of course you do. Imagine millions of people watching that kind of thing all day long. What would happen to the country? We're finding out now.
And that's why I am worked up about this, because it is horrifying what they're doing. And thank goodness for all of the black conservatives who are pushing back on this hard.
Yeah.
People from this station, like Kevin Jackson, the Black Sphere, Stacey Washington, who is a contributor still to this station, has her own programming as well. People like Colonel Alan West, who are on Brian Kilmeade all the time. People like Thomas Sowell, the incredible writer. These are all brilliant black minds, and they're trying to push back. But the problem is, like me, they're up against 10-1, 20-1, 30-1 odds every single day. But this is so horrific. What Spike Lee? How many millionaires do you know that? Okay, I'm sorry. How many dogs do you know, or how many slaves do you know that live in multi-million-dollar mansions and drive Ferraris and Teslas? None, right? No. It's such a fraudulent argument to say that how are these athletes who have free will in the freest country in the United States, can do whatever they want, who have made gazillions of dollars? Explain to me how they're shackled to some fake NFL plantation. That is just it's despicable.
It is, and they should go into the communities they're saying are having the most trouble. They should be not doing it on the field.
Right.
They should be going into the communities, taking that money and going into the community.
Where black-on-black crime is the real dirty little secret about what's going on. Folks, I forgot to ask Jeff Roard about this, but this is a fact. I looked this up today. Only 4% of the homicides in this country are police shooting black men. The other 96% of black deaths are caused by black-on-black crime. You can look it up. It's FBI statistics. I got a clip on that, and I got some stuff on that when I come back. Hey, it's Tim Jones, the Tim Jones Show. Huge show straight ahead. FM News Talk 97.1. We've got Representative Dean Plocher and more right after the break.
This is the Tim Jones Show.
These days, it's easy to have information overload. Sometimes I just want to kick back, hear my favorite music and the news that affects me. That's why I stay tuned into my local radio station. When important news happens in my part of town, I hear it from them first. For the best entertainment, sports, news, weather, and traffic, anytime, anywhere, I stay local. Support your local stations. Text RADIO to 52886. Furnished by the NAB and this station. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out.
All right, Massa's Restaurant. Been around a long, long time. 50 years, kind of like Casey in a way, and they have 5 locations. If you know anything about the restaurant business, probably the toughest business there is. You've seen restaurants that you think we're doing great, and you drive by, and all of a sudden they're a produce stand the next week. Massa's continues to grow with more locations. 5 locations. They're all over the place. They serve some of the best Italian. They serve great steaks and seafood. If you're trying to watch your weight, you can go in and get their house salad that is outstanding and make a meal out of their salad. Great pizza. Of course, everything's available to go if you want to do that too. And with 5 locations, pretty much any direction you go, you're going to find great, great food. I got an idea. A gift card will make a great idea, a great gift for someone. You know they're going to use it, and once they try it one time, they're going to be hooked just like you've been over the years. Again, there's 5 locations. The best way to find out the hours and locations is Google them. Go to Massa's, MASSA''S, Massa's. It's Massa's, of course.
Hi, I am Gil Mohesky, owner of Reekers Truck Body, and we know that having the right equipment for the job makes work easier, and that's why Reekers will help you design and build your next truck body. Reekers is now manufacturing aluminum platforms and stake bodies. We are also your local dealer for Meyer snow removal equipment and Redding service bodies. So if you are ready to upfit your new truck, call Reekers at 1-800-400-3707 or find us at reekerstruckbody.com.
Why have over 3 million guys switched to Harry's razors? Because at Harry's, we give you less. We make just one razor with 5 German-engineered blades. Ding! All you need for a smooth and comfortable shave. And we got rid of upcharges. By owning the factory and cutting out the middleman, we're able to sell our high-quality blades for half the price of the other guys. Ka-ching! Now we're dropping the half-price sound effects guy.
Wait, why?
Not everyone can give you high quality for a fraction of the price. Harry's. One perfect razor. None of the extra noise. As a special offer for radio listeners, get an $18 shave set with an added bonus for free when you visit harrys.com and use code 3434 at checkout. Just cover a few bucks for shipping. That's harrys.com, code 3434 for a free shave set offer. Again, it's harrys.com, code 3434. Please note, no sound effects guys were harmed in the making of this radio recording.
KFTK FM, Florissant. KFTK AM East St. Louis. K254CR St. Louis.
Powered by thehomeloanexpert.com.
FM News Talk 97.1.
A presidential pledge to Puerto Rico. I'm Tom Graham, Fox News. President Trump continues praising the federal response to hurricane-ravaged Puerto Rico.
Tremendous progress being made. We're getting the roads open. We're getting a lot of things done, really at a record clip. So we're very happy with that, and I'll be going there on Tuesday.
Speaking moments ago near Marine One after landing on the White House lawn, but the criticism is mounting 11 days after Hurricane Maria, many without food, power, or even clean water. Fox's Grenal Scott says the administration is on defense.
Even as Puerto Rican officials say they want relief, and fast, the government's point man on the recovery effort says getting relief where it needs to go will take patience. FEMA Administrator Brock Long says with roads out and communication down, getting the island up and running will be a tough task.
It's going to be multiple months before power is restored to many of these areas, and that's just the reality.
President Trump pushed back against complaints about the need for more help and criticism of a slow response, calling the backlash politically motivated.
Well, from hurricanes to Twitter storms, President Trump again taking aim at North Korea, calling its leader a little rocket man, also tweeting that making nice with the rogue state has not worked in the past. Leaders in Catalonia, Spain say they may move unilaterally to declare independence. This after a day of violence leaves nearly 900 injured. Spanish police using rubber bullets, thwarting voters in the region from casting ballots for independence. Another Sunday of kneeling on NFL sidelines in that national anthem protest, spreading to fans outside the StubHub Center in Los Angeles. Group of Chargers fans demonstrating.
We're out here to take a knee and take a stand for Black lives. We're reminding people why Colin Kaepernick took a knee in the first place.
And in San Francisco, Kaepernick's former team, the biggest player protests, about half the 49ers kneeling during the national anthem, some fans booing. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather.
The official FM News Talk 97.1 Weather Center forecast calls for it to turn summery again over the next few days. It'll be comfortable tonight, though. Partly cloudy with lows 50 to 54. Mostly sunny and warmer tomorrow. Nice day with a high 78. Partly cloudy, low 60 to 64 tomorrow night. Mostly sunny and very warm Monday and Tuesday. High both days will be 86. I'm meteorologist Frank Streit for FM News Talk 97.1.
How is your sleep? Are you getting enough of the kind of sleep you need to feel rested, alert, and healthy? If not, a sleep disorder may be to blame. I'm Dr. Joe Ojal with the Clayton Sleep Institute. More than 40 million Americans suffer from sleep disorders, including restless leg syndrome, insomnia, and sleep apnea. Sleep disorders ruin your sleep and threaten your long-term health and well-being. For help, call the sleep specialist at Clayton Sleep Institute, 314-645-5855.
So this is your very first day on a 1-800-GOT-JUNK truck team. I'm really excited.
Of course you are. This is a great job.
So tell me what you've learned.
Always make things easy for the customer.
And what do we tell people?
All you have to do is point. And whatever you're pointing at will disappear.
Tom, you're gonna do great.
Welcome aboard, Tom. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, welcome aboard. Thanks, other Tom.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK
or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Hi, I'm Matt Carpenter.
And I'm Adam Wainwright.
We hope you'll join us this season by making your Homers for Health pledge for Cardinal Glennon kids.
Don't forget K's for Kids. Man, us pitchers are always forgotten about.
Oh yeah, sorry. You can pledge for every home run hit by a St. Louis Cardinal this season.
Or every strikeout thrown by a Cardinal pitcher, like me. I'm a pitcher, Matt. And K's for Kids, co-chairman, remember?
I got it. Pitchers are awesome. I love pitchers.
Make your pledge today at Glennon.org. Presented by Heartland Coca-Cola.
I just scheduled a furnace tune-up with Jerry Kelly.
Seems kind of early.
I saved us over 30% by being early and a potential headache.
You know, you're the reason Jerry Kelly's been our town's favorite for almost half a century.
Half a century?
Yep, Jerry Kelly just turned 40. And really, it's their prudent customers that make him look good.
It is smart. Get your furnace ship shape before winter. But Jerry Kelly's pretty good, too.
They've had it going on for 40 years.
JerryKelly.com. Hi, this is Curtis Stone. You name a dish, and I've prepared it thousands of times. But even I can't cook enough to feed all of the 17 million kids in America who are struggling with hunger. That's where the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks comes in. They gather surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families. We call them food angels, and you can be one too. Earn your wings at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
It's 6:42 p.m. Time for Steve Plato and his son Dylan to do the dishes. They talk about everything from the yuckiness of girls to the awesomeness of his soccer team. Sometimes they don't talk at all. Then, hey! The dreaded splash fight. It's Dad o'clock, and it's the best time of the day. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Councel.
This hour of the Tim Jones Show is brought to you by Convergent Wealth Management, your lifelong financial advocate. ConvergentWM.com.
This is the Tim Jones Show.
You can't erase history and expect to not repeat it. Everything's hunky-dory as long as you agree with me.
I think there's a revival in the city. It's just typical liberalism.
The Tim Jones Show.
If there's anything that we need more in the state of Missouri, it's population growth.
He is a businessman. I've owned 3 small businesses. They are one-sided.
They just say the American taxpayer will take care of it.
I think all of this stuff, Tim, is more orchestrated than a Nancy Pelosi bowel movement.
The Tim Jones Show on FM News Talk 97.1.
This evening. Welcome to the Tim Jones Show. Welcome to FM News Talk 97.1. Happy Sunday. Happy October 1st. Ken, can you believe it?
Oh, it's amazing how time flies, huh?
My favorite time of year. How
I
about
love this. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
The other morning, I woke up, I walked outside really early, and I just stood there and I was deep breathing.
Yeah. Shock to the lungs.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, we've had a great show tonight. And remember, everything we do, Ken gets up through the magic of radio and has it up on the show page shortly after the show is over at 971talk.com/Tim Jones, because that's how creative we are. So we'll have the interview of Jonathan Williams, the chief economist for ALEC, talking about the Trump tax plan. We'll have the interview with former Representative Jeff Rorta, current business manager for the St. Louis Police Officers Association, and his big announcement. Talk to Dean Plocker about that. I don't know if Dean just walked in studio here. Good evening, Dean Plocker.
Good evening. Great to be here tonight.
Did you hear Jeff Rorta's a big announcement?
No, I didn't. I spent the weekend watching my son play soccer.
Yeah, he was. You were probably walking from your car into here when he was on the radio with me just now. And he said he's gonna run for county executive against our good friend John McCarty.
Ah, wow.
I kind of figured that was it, but
it's a big plan there.
Yeah. So we'll get back to you in a minute. You just sit right there, so don't move. Yeah, in the next segment, we're gonna talk to Dean quite a bit about. I might ask him to weigh in on a couple things here, but I wanted to get to a couple other things first. So Ken and I were talking about the NFL, and Ken, I don't know if you saw this. The president put out a tweet earlier today where he said, last week everybody had their say, and everybody expressed themselves in ways that he didn't agree with, but 180 players or so took a knee or didn't show up for the national anthem. This week, as of like an hour or two ago, now we still had some more games, but as of like an hour ago, 11.
Good.
You know what speaks pretty loudly? The
people
of America. Yeah. And look, Ken, like you were saying, can we have, and this is pretty amazing for somebody like me to say this, because my wife is always like, to me, can you just not talk about politics for 3 seconds? Can you not make the orange juice about politics?
That's what my wife says.
Because I'll figure some way to make Florida orange juice about.
You see?
Yeah, exactly. She'll be like, really? Just let the orange juice be free. Free the orange juice. So, but I'm going to say this: can we have something sacred? Can we watch an NFL football game? together? Can I watch it with my Democratic friends or my Libertarian friends or my friends who don't give a rip about politics? And can we just watch football and talk about stupid stats and
have a few beverages?
Yeah, eat some nachos, watch our fantasy players, right?
Yeah.
That's the only way. Honestly, Ken, if I didn't have a fantasy team this year, my buddies always drag me into this. I'm not a huge sports nut. I like sports. I mainly like golf. I was golfing in Florida this week, by the way. I'm not rubbing that in.
Yeah, you are.
It was wet down there. Oh, let me sidebar for a second.
Okay.
So I went down to a conference on Miami South Beach, and Dean Plocker doesn't realize I'm a South Beach guy. He didn't know I had all the ripped T-shirts and the fake baked tan. Yeah.
The T-shirt gives it away.
Yeah, I got my Journey T-shirt on tonight. I wore this for Dean because we're like from the same generation.
I have my Afton football T-shirt on because
exactly
that's about as high up on football as I'm going to watch.
Oh, speaking of, I'm going down a rabbit hole here. Second sidebar. You just reminded me. I got to give a shout out. Hopefully she's still listening to Margie from Afton. We have an 89-year-old fan.
Hi, Margie.
Afton. So hello to Margie.
Hi, neighbor.
Margie said, and Margie is representative. The reason I'm bringing Margie up, she's representative of where a lot of Americans are these days. She said, she called me this week because she ran into she couldn't remember who they were. Some friends of mine or colleagues, maybe from the radio station or some political people, and they're like, she had a question or something, and they're like, hey, call Tim Jones. I got people handing my number out all over the area. Isn't that great? No, it's fine. Because Margie was like, I just wanted you to know that there's old people like me out here, and we're still alive, and we're still voting, and I think she was an old school. She never really said what she was, but I think she said she voted for Barack Obama at one point. And she said, I wish they'd stop picking on this man Trump because he's trying to save America. I'm like, if Margie, the South Side, I'm gonna stereotype her here a little bit, maybe blue collar Democrat from Afton, can have that opinion about Trump, then maybe CNN can as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
or CNN, how about this? Not have an opinion.
Right, maybe just not
reports.
have an opinion.
Yeah.
All right, so let me back up now. Okay, so I was in South Beach, and I want to report to folks that the buildings are generally okay. So I flew into Fort Lauderdale, so I drove all the way down to Key Biscayne, which is the top key. It's like way up north. It's not like, don't think I wasn't down in like Key West. I was like an hour, not even. I was 45 minutes south of Fort Lauderdale, half an hour south of Miami. So I'm in that off on that. Key Biscayne's out in the ocean. You cross a causeway and you're out in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
So I was figuring, okay, I'm going to see pretty much the depth of it, and they've already cleaned up a lot. But the buildings, I would say, are generally fine. The palm trees and the beaches took a beating, and I don't say that tongue in cheek. I say that's what happened.
Yeah.
The beaches are freaking flattened. It looks like someone took a giant iron and just boom, like. The whole beach. It's just flat as a pancake.
Is that from just blowing the sand away?
Yeah. I actually played golf with a couple guys from down there. They hooked me up with them, a couple guys from Fort Lauderdale. And I said, so what happened? They're like, well, the beach ended up on the street, basically.
Yeah.
It just kind of washed up and was left on the street. And I asked these fellas, Frank and Mario, shout out to Frank and Mario down in Fort Lauderdale, in case they're listening. They're big fans now, by the way. And I said, well, how was it? They said, well, big wind event, big rain event, not a lot of massive amount of damage, but just kind of, it wasn't. They said it wasn't fun,
right.
but they did okay. The other side of the state, I can tell you, I spoke with my company's CFO, Cassie. So I work for the First Rule Media Network. That's my day job. I'm their comms director. Anyway, our CFO is down in the Fort Myers area, and she said it was pretty rough there. Trees like down everywhere, standing water everywhere, real brackish, kind of smelling,
Yeah.
But she said, they're getting things back. We're lucky. We're on the mainland. So if you're in Florida, right, you can have all the surrounding states that didn't get affected. South Carolina a little affected. Let's go, you can have everybody from Tennessee, Kentucky, Missouri, New York. I mean, all those agents. Fire, police, National Guard, Army, military, Navy, FEMA, they can all just drive, fly, they're there, right?
Right.
Puerto Rico, totally different. It's an island. I know the media is making fun of Trump for re-explaining to people that it's an island surrounded by water. But what he meant was, it's not like you can drive down the street and go help out the people in Puerto Rico. You can't drive to Puerto Rico. You can't run the tanks into Puerto Rico.
No, logistically, it's completely different than Texas or Florida.
First, to get to Puerto Rico, you go as far as you can on the mainland down to Florida. And I've done this trip because I told you earlier in the last hour, one of my very best friends in the world is Jose Benitez. And Jose Benitez is an attorney who works for an employment defense firm, a Spanish-English bilingual firm, big firm, in San Juan. And I've been going to Puerto Rico since I was 19, 20 years old. Went down on spring break, and I visited Jose a couple of times. It's a beautiful island. I love going there. But, folks, before the hurricane, Puerto Rico was teetering on the brink of being a third world country, okay? Donald Trump did not cause the logistical problems of salvaging a nation after 3 freaking hurricanes have blown through it. If you talk to a real Puerto Rican, which I do, and I've been texting with Jose for like the last 3 weeks. Hey, man, are you okay? Is everything all right? Yes, it's okay. It's really bad. I'm going to read you, and I'm going to try to get him on the show, actually, Ken, next week or two. I'm going to try to get Jose on the show because it would be fascinating to hear. But here's what Jose told me like 2 weeks ago. He said, this was Monday. This was a week ago. Jose said, Tim, things are getting extremely difficult. Although the government, and he's talking about his Puerto Rican government, okay, the lefties. Puerto Rico did have a Republican governor not too long ago. I met him. His name is Luis Fortuna. Luis is a great guy. Luis served 1 term. He tried to make some massive reforms. Basically, the liberal class revolted against him, and basically he knew he wasn't going to get reelected. So he's like, okay, I tried. Fine, I'm out. He's working for a big, fancy D.C. firm now, and I don't blame him at all because he tried. He tried really hard. Luis did. So now there's a Democrat in charge. There's Democrats basically in charge of everything down there. Republicans are, it's like being a Republican in Illinois. Maybe worse in Puerto Rico. So Jose says, although the government says there's gasoline and diesel, it's not reaching the gas stations, the supermarkets, the banks, and other businesses. Because there's no diesel, the ATMs are not operating and people are running out of cash. Because 95% of the communications are down, there's no phone, internet, emails. We cannot use credit cards or ATM cards. And then he kind of said tongue-in-cheek, but he was very serious. At the very end, he says, send in the Navy. Well, guess what President Trump did? Now, I'm not saying I called up the president, told him my buddy Jose. But President Trump did what Puerto Ricans needed to have done. He literally sent in the Navy.
Yeah, aircraft carriers, didn't he? Or
yes.
1 or 2 or
yes.
something.
And the problems, like Jose pointed out, the problem was not getting the stuff there. It was all there. It was sitting there. They didn't need to suspend the Jones Act. We can talk to Dean about the Jones Act later. It's this complicated maritime act about things shipped to U.S. from U.S. ports. Yeah, the SOS Comfort, Navy ship, right, Dean?
The USS Comfort. Sent in.
USS Comfort, right?
Yeah.
So what Jose could explain, I'm going to try to get him on the next few weeks if he's able to, once things are fully up, is that everything was sitting there. All of the supplies, the diesel, it was all there. But because Puerto Rico has been run poorly and mismanaged to the point where it's probably worse than Illinois, they don't have the infrastructure on the island. You can't get diesel from point A to point B if the road literally no longer exists. Okay? What's Trump supposed to do? Airlift in a bunch of cement trucks and start repaving roads? I mean, eventually they'll do that. But these idiots in the media who wanted him to wave a magic wand and make Puerto Rico fine are just clueless. U.S. Virgin Islands. That governor thinks the response from President Trump's administration has been fantastic. Now, they didn't get the brunt of it like Puerto Rico did, but it's been fine. Some other things. The Democratic governor that I was maligning a little bit a few minutes ago has had nothing but positive words to say about the president. The media has seized upon one mayor from San Juan, that crazy left-wing lunatic who's been trying to get press for herself because she's been trashing Trump. That's it. One person. You talk to and you look at the media reports on the other things. Trump is doing everything he can. They want this to be as Katrina. It's not going to be as Katrina.
It won't be. No, it can't be.
Yeah.
No.
And he did a great job in Texas with Governor Abbott. Trump did a great job in Florida with Governor Rick Scott. Look what happens when you have these governors, Republican governors of Republican states that have their act together. You know what happens. And it happens quickly and it happens well.
And they get the job done.
Gets the job done. Trump is doing all he can for the people of Puerto Rico. And I have friends there who are telling me that that's true. And now, actually, I'm happy to report things are getting better. 3 days ago, there was like 200 gas stations open on the entire island. That's a pretty good size island, in case you've never been there. I mean, you can drive north to south, takes you like 3 hours or so. East to west, it's like 7-8 hour drive. It's not a small island. There's now almost 1,000 gas stations open. So they're getting things back online. They're getting commerce flowing again. But there's no magic wand. They just got devastated by 3 Cat 4, Cat 5 hurricanes.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And they were also, I heard, they were coming off of the one, and the ground was saturated completely. There was nothing, no place that the water could go to.
Correct.
The next one, the following one, Maria, I think it was. Maria,
yes.
That was the one that just nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, everything else just,
the low-lying areas, you're going to be below sea level. And I saw this down in Miami. So the first day and a half I was there, it was nice. It was typical Miami weather, blue skies, very sunny. It was beautiful. The next day, the tropical storms rolled in. And it was those heavy clouds that just dump rain. It just comes down in sheets. The water table down there is so high, immediately rivers form everywhere. So even in Florida, things are still, they're not out of the woods yet. We got to get out of this rainy season next.
They need to stop politicizing this tragic
That's exactly
event.
right.
And as Rahm Emanuel would say, don't let a good disaster go to waste.
Yeah, never let a good crisis go to waste.
Go to waste,
right?
yeah.
So, well, hey, the aforementioned Representative Dean Plocher here in studio. Dean, how you doing this weekend?
I'm doing great. I had a great weekend.
Good. Your son's in baseball, is that right?
Well, soccer this weekend.
Soccer.
Soccer tournament.
Is he a superstar athlete like you?
He's better than I am. He's a good athlete though. He's fun. He's got a good heart and he enjoys it.
Well, good. Well, you're no longer you were a special election baby, so you're not a freshman at all anymore, are you? Technically. You've lived through 2 sessions, sort of?
I'm like a redshirt freshman, I think is the term that
I like
they use.
that. I like that. Redshirt freshman. Well, we'll talk to redshirt freshman, State Representative Dean Plocher when we come back here on the Tim Jones Show all evening this evening. You're at FM News Talk 97.1.
The Tim Jones Show.
He's in bed with Putin and the Russians about oil.
On FM News Talk 97.1.
Traffic reports at your fingertips. Real-time traffic online. Log on to 971talk.com for real-time traffic updates.
Brought to you by Frank Lita Acura. With 0.9% financing going on now. Can't beat a Lita. Online at litaacura.com.
You've heard of personal shoppers, personal trainers, and personal assistants. Why not a personal doctor? That's what you'll get with personalized concierge medicine at Palm Health, located in the heart of Ladue. Our primary care physicians and medical specialists get to know you inside and out and offer a customized, comprehensive approach for you to lead a healthier lifestyle and sustained well-being. Discover the benefits of personalized concierge medicine and a tailor-made health plan today. Call 314-801-8898 for a tour or visit palmhealth.com.
Hey, I want to thank my good friends John Stobbs and Jeannie Seabaugh over at Convergent Wealth Management for sponsoring the show. I mean, they were the first ones out of the gate. We had a new little live at the top of the show, and Ken's gonna fancy that up a little bit. Maybe we make this the Convergent Wealth Management Studios or something like that. But anyway, Convergent Wealth Management, wealth for the way. They're a faith-based operation driven by your values and mine. They're a full-service firm that does. They do the financial stuff, they do the insurance stuff, they do the tax stuff. What more do you need? That's your complete package. I need to call John tomorrow. I owe him a phone call, and you do too, because I bet you've been sitting around this weekend talking to your spouse, your significant other, about your needs. And do you have everything on the right page or not? Do you have the whole picture? That's what I feel that they can take all those buckets and put it into one streamlined approach. It is truly wealth for the way. It's your comprehensive path to financial freedom. Convergent Wealth Management, convergentwm.com, convergentwm.com. Call them tomorrow, 636-536-1800. Convergent Wealth Management, it's wealth for the way.
For more than 20 years, Arrowhead Building Supplies customers in St. Peters have had to drive through our industrial park to visit us, often waiting behind big trucks or dealing with the park's railroad crossing. Well, our brand new Salt River Road entrance is now open for our customers, with direct access to our property. Our priority is to bring value to you, and once again, we've delivered. Our new entrance on Salt River Road is big, beautiful, and built just for you. Come try it out and see our showroom. Now also featuring the incredible new Arrowhead Cube Home Visualizer. ArrowheadBuildingSupply.com.
America's veterans are more than a source of pride. They're a source of strength. When our veterans thrive, our communities thrive. With your support, our veterans can get career and education opportunities as well as benefits they've earned.
Hi, I'm Congressman Rodney Davis. Join me in thanking our nation's veterans. They've given so much. Find out how you can support veterans in our community.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Radio moves. Radio breathes. Radio never sleeps. And Next Radio keeps up. It goes where you go, so you never miss a beat. It's live, it's local, it's a connection. A shared experience, just you and your radio. And a couple million people, give or take. Next Radio keeps up. You thought that phone couldn't get any smarter? Well, it got simpler. It got leaner. It's got your back. And it'll keep you moving, winning, in the know. And it'll get you where you want to go. All in the palm of your hand. Next Radio, live and local, wherever you go.
Listen to your favorite FM stations with the free Next Radio app. Live and local, wherever you go. Download the free Next Radio app today.
My name is Dale Pazinski, and this is how I live United. I volunteer with United Way, helping the homeless in my community by teaching computer skills and helping them build a basic resume to save on their very own USB drive. It's huge when somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Moment of crisis.
An important moment.
Begging for war.
Hear about it?
This is not a little matter.
We should all take a moment. Seize the moment. Talk about it.
You know, it's always amazing to me how phony the liberals are, and you can tell their outrage about this is phony.
St. Louis's FM News Talk.
That is why we are here.
This is a moment in time, a moment in history.
This is the moment.
And I'll say it right now.
FM News Talk.
The urgency is now.
Could strike at any moment.
97.1.
Been reading books of old, the legends and the myths, Achilles and his gold, Hercules and his gifts, and Spider-Man's control, and Batman with his fists. And clearly I don't see myself upon that list, but she said, where'd you wanna go?
This is the Tim Jones Show. Call now, 314-969-9797. Or 866-455-9797.
This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to pass tax reform and to restore our jobs, our wealth, and our great American dreams. We will be able to dream again, and those dreams will be met. Now it's time, finally, for Congress to deliver. The problem we have is the Democrats don't want to cut your taxes. They want to actually raise your taxes and raise them very substantially. We can't afford to do that as a country. That's why our jobs are leaving. That's why you don't have enough left in your paycheck. We want to cut taxes, and it's going to be the biggest tax cut in the history of our country.
Absolutely. Yes, it will be. It'll be huge.
Huge.
Hey, welcome to the Tim Jones Show. It is Sunday evening, October 1st, here at FM News Talk 97.1. We're broadcasting from the Heartland to you around the world. 971talk.com/Tim Jones on Facebook or Twitter, at Speaker Tim Jones, at Speaker Tim Jones on Facebook or Twitter. Ken, we have shot well over 7,000 followers, approaching 7,100.
Awesome.
Picked up another 100 last week.
A new goal has to be produced.
That's
here.
right. That's right. I want 10,000 by the end of the year. So, joining me now in studio, the promised Representative Dean Plocher from the beautiful country Manses of Town and Country. Right.
Indeed.
You put the country in town and country. Is that the phrase?
I have been said to put the country in town and country with my endorsements of the Cattlemen's Association.
Isn't that great? Some of the things you learn about Dean that you never knew existed in your life before when you go to Jefferson City.
It is.
What's been the biggest surprise to you?
The camaraderie, actually. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been 2 years now, and the camaraderie amongst all of my colleagues is good. We do talk about things a lot better than what the media sort of reports here, so that's been a nice surprise.
Yeah, Dean, state government actually functions, right? It really does.
It does. People expect miracles, and this is a democracy. Things aren't supposed to happen, turn on a dime, and our laws are supposed to be well thought out as best as possible and given consideration from all sides.
Now, Dean, I met you years ago when you were thinking about your first run, and I think you were thinking about U.S. or state senate at that time, and then you decided not to do that, and then you swung back around. So your wife only talked you off the ledge for so long, right? And then you just had to jump.
I wouldn't be here without my wife's support. She's really the driving mechanism behind sort of lighting this fire to get started to do this. So I'm grateful for her. Stepping off the ledge the first time was the best thing that ever happened to me. My children were particularly young at the time.
Right.
Now they're 8 and 10, and I'm really glad that I was able to stay home longer, practice law, and now get up to Jeff City and do what I can do.
So you have 2 full sessions under your belt now?
Yes.
That's right. So number 3, can you believe number 3 is coming up in like 3 months?
It does fly by, and it's not a part-time job either. That's the other surprise, I guess, is that they say you're there January through May. Well, you're there in Jeff City, but there's a lot of other things to get done during the off season. Many, many things, and so I'm looking forward to. Honestly, it'll put this sort of chapter down, and then I get back to January. But then it's the travel, and it's a different agenda as well.
Absolutely. So I've been talking a lot about the president's substantive plans. The media wants to talk about everything but, right? Because it doesn't fit their agenda. They want to talk about race and racial tension, and he's a sexist and a homophobe and a xenophobe and an everything phobe. But I've been talking a lot on this station, like the other commentators do, about some of the substantive things he's been doing, like cracking down on North Korea, and we're seeing now that's having an effect, like the tax plan. Let me ask you first about the tax plan. You all are probably going to have that discussion on the state level, I would imagine.
I hope we have
next
a tax
year as well.
plan discussion at the state level.
Where are you on income tax, cutting taxes, fair tax? What's Dean Plocher, Representative Dean Plocher's legislative agenda on tax policy?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be carrying into the tax bills, but I don't think it should come as any surprise to anyone that knows me is that I don't believe, as Reagan said, you can tax your way into prosperity. I think by paying large sums of taxes or tax percentages, you're actually discouraging good production in society. You're penalizing people for performing, and that's not what society is intended to do. So I would, in particular, I think we need to address some of these entitlements as well as the taxing of the working poor.
Mm-hmm.
The working poor have a hard time getting by as it is. Our tax code doesn't necessarily help them, but the entitlements that exist out there don't always encourage them to work as well.
And isn't it, Dean, and in honor of Reagan, one of our last great presidents until this one, I think Donald Trump's really going to, especially if he can get this tax plan through, he's going to go down as one of the greater presidents, I believe, and on his international relations work. In honor of Reagan, I have on a great T-shirt from a great band from the 80s, Journey. So for anybody watching the webcam, we're celebrating Journey tonight.
The webcam, they're not going to be able to pick up that spray-on tan from Miami.
That's right. I'll have to work maybe a little harder on that. I got the little John Boehner going on. Yeah. So
I don't know if anyone can quite emulate that. I know I couldn't.
But Dean, that's what happened after the Reagan. You and I were both alive. We're of that generation. And I remember my father's a small business owner. He's a veterinarian. I remember Dad was kind of just getting his second office going at that time. And happy days were here again in the late 80s and early 90s because we had our fiscal house in order during that time.
Indeed. And I mean, we talked about, or you talked about Puerto Rico earlier. They don't have their fiscal house in order. I believe they're, $100 billion in debt. But we practice policies that don't necessarily encourage responsible spending and responsibility by people too big to fail. Are we going to bail out Puerto Rico? If we bail out Puerto Rico, do we have to bail out Illinois? Then do we have to bail out California?
And then New
I
York.
certainly hope not. I mean,
yeah.
at some point, people, just as we run our house, we should have to run our government. I'm proud to say that Middleborough, Missouri's balanced budget is great. Our economy, I believe, is growing a little bit faster than what we had expected. And we have to run the books in Missouri as we do in our house.
Going back to something you said earlier about the working poor, and isn't it also, I think it's immoral that that you have people getting entitlements who shouldn't be?
Well, it's been said to me by people that come in, and I feel my job as a state rep is to listen to the concerns of those that I represent, and as well as all of Missourians. And I feel for people that you clearly see should qualify for certain programs. And then I see other people leeching off of programs they should never qualify for. It's not about being disabled and collecting. It's about collecting. And that's the problem.
Exactly. Hey, Dean, can we got about, what, a couple minutes? Couple, 3 minutes? Okay. I may get into this. Well, let me set it up first. And you're an attorney, and we won't hold that against you because I am one too. And we're attorneys, we're politicians. So it's already 2 strikes against us, right?
If you were a lobbyist, you'd have 3 strikes.
Yeah. So I work with lobbyists. I guess that's close enough. And you used to be on the bench, right?
I did.
You were a judge in Pine Lawn,
albeit the lowest ranking court, sort of, in the state of Missouri. Don't put me up
how
there.
Cool is that, though? You got to wear the black robes and all that.
It was an honor.
Yeah, it truly was. Before I ask you a zillion questions about this, have you looked at the Stockley case at all with your lawyer judge hat on? Have you read any of? Have you looked into it?
I haven't read the verdict.
More than the common duck, maybe?
Well, I haven't read the verdict from beginning to end.
The 29 pages?
Verdict. Yeah, something like that. It's a rather comprehensive verdict. I was appreciative of what the judge threw in there. Judge Wilson, I mean, it's not like he's a rookie judge. He's been on the bench. He's going to have to retire soon. This is
right.
something
This is a guy who's been around the block.
Yes.
And serving in the city of St. Louis, dealing with probably thousands of cases. Maybe not exactly like this, but probably bearing a lot of similarities. I'm sure he's had his share of felonies cross his desk.
I think he's handled thousands of felonies. He's a very objective judge, and he's very respected in the industry of the lawyers that I know. I've never tried a case in front of the gentleman, but no. After reading through this verdict and hearing the complaints that were out there, I guess I question not the judicial process. The judicial process, in my mind, here served the role that it was intended to serve. It looked at the facts. The judge objectively applied the facts, and through thorough and logical conclusions, drew the right conclusion. Now, the misnomer here was why the case perhaps was brought in the first place.
Right.
I was stunned, and I didn't sit through the trial, so I didn't watch it.
Because let's remind folks. I always have to remind people about this because our local media and the Post Disgrace editorial board, some of the biggest race hustlers in the country, they want everybody to forget this very inconvenient fact. President Obama's Department of Justice declined to prosecute Jason Stockley.
They declined
which
to
I
prosecute
think
it,
you tell me, Dean. I think that's a pretty notable fact.
Well, I would certainly think so, especially when you read what the Department of Justice did post Ferguson and came down and handed down a very strong opinion about what needed to be done with some municipal reform. They didn't come down on this case. Furthermore, this case was not issued for how many years? And then you want to come back in time and reach out and say, hey, there's new evidence, when now the evidence shows there was no new evidence.
Right. I have no problem with people protesting racial bias or systemic racism if they see it, if they think it exists. But, Dean, and let's talk about this now. Okay, I want to talk with you when we come back. Like, okay, where do we go from here? Because I really feel like these people have and when I say that, I mean the folks in the city who are protesting every night, the ones that Jeff Rorta referred to. He said there's 50 or 60 people. They continue to be out there. I don't know that I know what they're protesting at this point. They really seem like they've jumped the shark using this case, holding this up as to amplify the movement. Number one, you've got a heroin dealer. Number two, you got a case from 6 years ago, pre-Ferguson. A lot has changed since then. You and the legislature have done some reforms. So I really feel that the folks, and you know what? When I say these people, you know, I'm not at all being racist. I'm talking about the white liberals. Okay, so I'm talking about the white kids from Ladue who go down to the city and break things and terrorize people, the Antifa, which is a lot of these white rich liberal kids that have no other purpose in life. So I really think the real movement that goes after real systemic racism has hurt itself. We'll talk with Representative Dean Plocher about that and more when we come back, including Legislative Preview 2018. Dun, 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 here on the Tim Jones Show at FM News Talk 97.1.
The Tim Jones Show.
You have insanity in my earpiece.
On FM News Talk 97.1.
Watch the Mark Cox Show live on the Granite Transformation Studio Cam at 971talk.com/Cox. Log on to our website or use your mobile device to join the daily live stream and watch the show. It's the Granite Transformation Studio Cam at 971talk.com/Cox.
Hey guys, I'm Dr. TJ Williams from the Institute of Natural Health. I would like to invite you to tune in to our show, Wellness 101, Sundays at 3 p.m. During this exciting hour, we will be diving into the health topics that you want to know about. We will be talking about your concerns and giving real-life examples of ways people can heal and the transformations we have seen with our clients. So tune in to Wellness 101, Sundays at 3, where we will cut through the nonsense to provide you common-sense, science-based strategies for a healthy life. That's Wellness 101, Sundays at 3. And you can find us online at theinstituteofnaturalhealth.com.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members, of their families or their children, asking them to deploy, patrol, stay on watch, on point, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to bring them all the way home, to keep them secure, to have their backs for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs do whatever it takes to help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Find out how you can help at findwwp.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing, we've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Fox on Family.
Whether it's basketball or Monopoly, it's so tempting to let your kids win. But what does that teach them?
Sometimes you lose. And so it's really important for children to learn how to lose well.
Mother of 4 and Lightbridge Academy President Gigi Schweikert isn't a fan of getting a trophy just for showing up.
What we're seeing now as a result of that, we have millennials who are showing up at the workplace and we're saying, okay, I'm here, I deserve a raise, or I'm here, where's my promotion?
Schweikert says young children need to practice winning so they can feel safe to lose, but age 11 and up should be able to cope with knowing your best doesn't always win, and losing doesn't mean you stop trying.
If people have invested in you, your teachers, your coaches, your parents, and even later on bosses, that your motivation needs to be there. You need to try no matter what.
She says encourage your kids to take pride in the effort, find joy in healthy competition, and strive for excellence, not perfection. With Fox and Family, I'm Lisa Brady.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When floodwaters reach your door? When wildfires are engulfing the edge of your neighborhood? Or an earthquake is destroying buildings? Or is the best time perhaps today? During a disaster, you may not be able to stay in touch with your family or friends as easily as you think. Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing, we've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and keep heaters 3 feet away from anything that can burn. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Jamie Ullman. Ullman in the morning.
President Trump, in terms of trying to make sure there's diminishing inequality in this country, came out with a great idea known as tax reform.
On FM News Talk
97.1.
This is the Tim Jones Show. Call now, 314-969-9797 or 866-455-9797.
The thing I think we learned this week is that Roy Moore and Steve Bannon, what we'll call the nationalists, they have a story to tell. They have a story about the country and why it's going astray. They have a story about what's wrong with Washington and the swamp and why it needs to be drained. The regular Republicans, the Mitch McConnell Republicans, have no story. And they thought they could hold off the nationalists with money and with logistics and with party organization. And I think one of the things we've learned is they can't do that. That if you want to hold off Steve Bannon, you actually have to have an argument, you have to have a story about why his kind of Republican is the wrong kind. And they don't have that, and if they don't have it in Alabama, they're probably not going to have it in Tennessee, and they may not have it in Wyoming, and they may not have it in Arizona, and all the other states where Republicans are up for grabs, at least in the Senate in 2018.
Yeah, New York Times, David Brooks, who I generally think is completely just a mushmouth moderate. He actually hit the nail on the head there, I think. So, Representative Dean Plocher in the studio here. We're wrapping up. The show is almost over again, Ken. We need... Tell Jeff Allen we need 2 more hours.
2 more.
So, yeah. My wife would kill me. Hey, Dean, I don't know if you heard Brooks there. Brooks was basically saying, look, the reason that Steve Bannon and some of these insurgent candidates are winning is because they have a message that appeals to Americans like Trump did, whereas the swamp creatures on both sides of the aisle seem to just kind of want to do the same old they've been doing for the last 30 years. That ship don't sail anymore.
I think it's true. They hit the nail on the head in that, part of the problem is you can't drain a swamp, though, unless you have the bottom plug to pull. And you can't pull the bottom plug until you have federal term limits.
Yeah.
You want to talk about something? I think we need federal term limits.
Yeah, I think the state term limit is fine. It's too short. It's a little restrictive. I don't want to get rid of it. Maybe broaden it a little bit. Folks, I'm not going back. You don't have to worry about me. But I do think we lose a lot of institutional knowledge. But where the real problem is, Dean, right, is when you get these princes and princesses, and they hunker down in D.C., they never go back home again to Montana or Colorado or Tennessee or Florida or wherever. They don't even, some of them don't have addresses anymore back home.
Yeah.
And the people don't even know that, but they're figuring out because there's a little thing called the internet, and there's Twitter and Facebook, and people know everything about everybody now, and they're realizing that politicians in D.C. are not serving them.
Well, it's funny, but I respect Mitch McConnell, senator. What a position to have.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there perhaps maybe too long. I mean, I feel like I'm watching Weekend at Bernie's sometimes. And I want somebody younger. I want somebody that's going to be around and have to live through the laws that they're passing. And, so I do think that the public is tired of those incumbents that have been there far too long and need to recognize their time to punch the ticket and get out of town.
Yeah, and what David Brooks was saying there, so as you know, I am a prophet, and I've been talking about this for weeks, actually. I've been saying that you and I and other Republicans are not going to suddenly go to the ballot box next year and go, oh, those congressional Republicans get anything done. I'm going to vote for Nancy Pelosi's people. We're not going to do that. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go to the ballot box in the primaries, and we're going to go, is this someone who's been there too long and refuses to work with this? We got a Republican president. He ain't going to be there forever. Time is short. Chop, chop. Let's get going. I served under Blunt, and then I served under Nixon. You had 1 year in Nixon, right?
Yes.
And then, isn't it night and day between Democrat Nixon and Republican Greitens? It's hard to explain it to people, right?
Well, it is, and it's hard to explain to the people that just because we have a new governor that we can't just, steamroll everything.
Can't do everything, but you can do a lot more.
Yeah, the political process has a role, and both sides need to debate it. We got a lot done last year, and I know that we want to talk perhaps about the 2018 legislative
A tremendous
session.
amount done. And so I think what people are going to do, Dean, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I think they're going to go to the ballot box on the federal elections, and the first thing they're going to do is they're going to look for primary opposition to these people who have just stayed too darn long in D.C. And it's going to be an insurgent type of primary, just like you saw with Roy Moore in Alabama.
Well, I think that nationally that might be the case. Now, locally, I don't necessarily see that.
No, I don't see that on the state level.
I'm happy.
Don't worry,
with
Dean.
Dan
You're
Wagner,
fine.
Representative
I'm
Wagner's,
not recruiting someone. Yeah.
No, at the federal level, I think St. Louis is well represented on the Republican
Yes.
side. So, I think federally, though, it will happen. And I think maybe it should.
And I'm talking about, and I wasn't alluding to anybody here in Missouri. I'm talking about the problem children. Murkowski, Collins, maybe McCain.
Well, maybe McCain. I mean, yes.
I mean, those are the ones that have
how can you
stopped the Trump
repeal?
agenda in its tracks.
How can you campaign on repeal and then vote not to repeal?
Right.
I don't understand that. So they should be held accountable. So it'll be interesting a year from now.
Hey, you alluded to you mentioned something right when we were going to the break, and I thought it was fascinating. I don't know that I've heard anybody put it in those terms before. You back to the Stockley case. You feel that it is, and I won't put words in your mouth, but almost a miscarriage of justice that case against Stockley was ever brought in the first place.
Well, with what I've
why would you legally say that?
Well, I think that they had plenty of time to introduce the case well before when they did. There was no new evidence that came out. I think that they shouldn't have gone to grand jury, given the fact that so much time had elapsed.
Mm-hmm.
Since there was no new evidence, they should have had a preliminary hearing on that, which would have given them a much better indication of whether or not they had a case. If you can't prove up a case for issuance in a grand jury, then you really shouldn't even be able to tie your shoe, maybe. So I think the judicial process worked. I very much respect the judicial process, but I see what happened. The people were given a false hope, and they were told a false story of what happened, and they rushed to conclusions. And there's other issues that we need reform on in this city, and I think some of these protesters have some issues that they want addressed, and I think perhaps they're choosing the wrong case to bring this to bear.
That's where I'll say that, yes. I don't want to say that every single person who's been out here protesting is wrong and just out to cause destruction. I think a lot of the folks in the daytime have had a message, but I think you're right. I think they're basing their message on the wrong character because and let's remind folks, all these people who are protesting down here, I'm assuming the large majority of them, if they voted, they probably voted for Barack Obama, okay? Barack Obama's Department of Justice, Eric Holder and company, refused to file charges against Jason Stockley. Refused to file charges. So then we have this, our former prosecutor, Jennifer Joyce, on her way out the door, drops this bombshell. Kim Gardner, who I serve with, then comes in. By the way, she was backed by George Soros. She got Soros-funded money. You can look it up. She does nothing. Lack of leadership by Jennifer Joyce, lack of leadership by Kim Gardner, lack of leadership by the mayor. Now here we are, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of man and woman power and property destruction and people getting hurt for what? For a heroin dealer.
Yes, and then they pass a resolution for him. It's abysmal, and I think what we've hit on here is it's really lack of leadership. The leadership that has been in St. Louis in my lifetime has been a leadership of false hope. What have they delivered? I've been around for almost 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Where has St. Louis gone in the last 50 years?
People have left it.
Yes, and that's a shame because it's a great city, and I love this town, and I'm happy to raise my family here. But we have a lot more to give. We have a lot more to achieve, and I think we need effective leadership in the city to do better.
And Dean, isn't it true that, people like you and I who pretty much grew up here. I mean, I was my folks are both from Missouri. My dad was serving in Vietnam, so we were stationed out of state. But he came right back. I was born in Minnesota. Came right back here. I've pretty much spent most of my life here, except the time I was away in college and law school. St. Louis can't afford to lose more people like us, right? Because they've already lost 500,000 people over the last 50 years. If they lose another 500,000, then it's a ghost town.
It is. It's a shadow of what it once was. It's a shame. I mean, I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot to even go out and lobby someone like Amazon to come in and put their headquarters here. I mean, it would be awesome. It'd be great. I'd love to get
But you said we'd be lucky to get what?
I think we'd be lucky to get a froyo right now with the last things what's been going on.
I hate to laugh because it's like I want to cry, because that's kind of where we are. Well, let's shift gears. Let's fill the glass half full now, and we're speaking to Representative Dean Plocher from the great state of Missouri, from the State House, entering his third term. So you're entering your third term, my friend. You're a third of the way through because you get that extra bonus year, special election baby.
I do get that bonus year.
So you get to serve 9 years in the House. So What's on? Well, tell me. You don't have to tell me. What do you think is going to be on the agenda next year? As far as what are you hearing from leadership folks, and also what would you like to work on next year?
Well, I think we'll certainly hit some ethics reform as we've done the last several years. We're going to hit that again. That'll be the first bill brought up if I'm a gambling man. I also think we're going to touch on some labor reform, but I don't see that as being the zealous push that we had last year, where it was one of the first things out of the gate. I think we're going to hit paycheck protection and prevailing wage. I think prevailing wage would greatly benefit outstate Missouri, rural Missouri, where they have to pay a disproportionate.
And you've supported all these labor reform issues because
I sat on economic development where we heard all of these
right.
bills.
And for you and I think it's less about the passion and the emotion surrounding trigger words, if I can say that, like right to work and things like that. It's more about the economic reality that, with the exception of the black hole abyss of Illinois, we're surrounded by states that already have all the economic policies that we don't.
The testimony was that, some of these labor reform bills are just really not the silver bullet, but they're certainly the gatekeeper, if you will. If you don't have these laws in effect, companies will not even think about relocating or putting a station or any kind of manufacturing, anything in your state.
Right.
So I want to see Missourians work. I want to see St. Louisans work. And when that happens, you actually pay taxes and you can afford the infrastructure that we need. We have some critical infrastructure issues coming in with transportation. But in moving on, I see some term limit bills coming into the House this year. I also see some municipal reform. The governor vetoed Senate Bill 128 with many, many things on it, and I had a lot on that bill. So I particularly want to work on some of those things that were on that bill that were vetoed. And that concludes some municipal reform for some judicial consolidation and credit for time served, which was an unintended consequence that was in Senate Bill 5, where some of these defendants, you're charged with a minor traffic violation, and let me stress, this is only minor traffic violations.
A little criminal justice reform, which appeals to both parties.
It does. And I don't think people need to be doing time away from home for running a red light for multiple occasions simply because the law prohibits the judge from allowing them to essentially get credit for time served.
Absolutely. Well, Dean, the time always goes too fast. We've got about a minute here to wrap up. So how can folks follow Representative Dean Plocher? Facebook, Twitter, you got any of that going on?
I'm not as much of a Facebook person as I know many of my peers are. They're younger. I do tweet occasionally, and I do issue online. You can find me on my House website, and I do publish a regular report during the session.
I think you're at Dean Plocher on Twitter, right?
I think so.
You got one of those unique names that nobody can copy, so there's just one.
There's just one of them.
Yeah, just like there's only one Tim Jones. So the left hates my speaker mantra, but I can't drop that because there's a million. I can't have Tim Jones, so it's Speaker Tim Jones. There you go. Dean, thanks so much for coming in, my friend. It was great having you for all this time. Thank you so much.
Grateful to be here. Thank you, guys.
We'll definitely have you back again. Hey, Ken, thank you as always.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Andrew, thanks for manning the phones. Mom and Dad, I always thank the folks, because without them, you wouldn't be hearing this voice, this melodious, superfluous voice. Katie, Abby, and Suzanne, love you. Be home soon. Tim Jones Show will be back next Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. We may be getting Representative Nick Shore and Bruce Frankson for a little debate action. There we go. That'd be good, right, Dean? Good stuff, right? Yeah. At Speaker Tim Jones on Facebook or Twitter. FM News Talk. Nice, everyone. Keep it right here, y'all.
This is the Tim Jones Show.
Contractors, meeting with your customers can be difficult. Making time to actually sit down and go over product and color selections is tough when your suppliers close by 5 p.m. every day. Only Arrowhead Building Supply has your solution. We've built mind-blowing, beautiful showrooms that are professional and convenient. We now have new store hours until 8 p.m. weekdays and noon on Saturdays. Arrowhead has also built private contractor presentation rooms for you. These feature large LED televisions and product video libraries, so you can show your customers how products will look and what to expect. ArrowheadBuildingSupply.com.
This is Bullet Points.
I'm Eben Brown. Welcome to 2017, where in Missouri you can now get a permit to carry a concealed weapon without needing to get any type of training or show some sort of competency certificate. Reactions are mixed in the Show Me state. These folks spoke with Fox 4 in Kansas City.
I do think you should have the right to conceal and carry. It's going to go back to the days of the Old West. You look at me wrong, I can shoot you.
I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. Someone that's never dealt with a gun shouldn't be able to carry it around.
Missouri is the 11th state to pass laws not requiring training in order to get a concealed carry permit. College rifle is back in season. The NCAA has published its first poll of